So take note, this is now course material number 3. We will be dealing with logic. This will be part 1 of our virtual discussion. So I will be focusing on knowledge building and critical thinking for this virtual discussion. Now let's begin. We now have conditional statements. So we begin with conditional statements first. So this is the part of the critical thinking in your CM. So in our discussion today, we will start with the critical thinking part. That's about conditional statements. Now, what is a conditional statement? It's an if-then statement. Who can give me an if-then statement? Kanang na-if og then nga statement. It's a sentence nga na-if og then. Mao ni conditional. Oh, who can give me a conditional statement? Anyone? Unsay nabantayan ninyo sa gawas? Ang weather, unsay nabantayan ninyo sa kalangitan? What about the clouds? The cloud. What about the clouds? Okay. So if the clouds are dark, then what will be your what will you add? If the clouds is very dark, then it will rain by Bruno Mars. Okay? So, joke lang. So, okay. If you study hard, then you will pass. O, mao na example sa mga if-then statements. So, kanang if-then statement, let's have this example. If a number is divisible by both 2 and 3, then it is divisible by 6. Nanay duha ka parts. Ang first part, kay musumpay na siya. Let me make use of my pointer first, ha? Musumpay na siya sa if. For a while, ha? Okay, there you go. Let me connect my pen sa pen tab. Okay. Ighuman anang word nga if, mao na gitawag nato og hypothesis. So the if part, this is the if part. The if part is the hypothesis. Then after the word then, this is now your conclusion. So the conclusion is the then part. So these are the two parts of a conditional statement. The if part, which is your hypothesis. The then part, which is your conclusion. Okay? Now let's continue. Who can give me the hypothesis in this example? Anyone? Again, correct. A polygon has 4 sides. This is our hypothesis. What about the conclusion? It is a quadrilateral. This is our conclusion. Okay, let's continue. Let's have another example. If a number greater than 2 is even, then it is not prime. What is the hypothesis? A number greater than 2 is even is your hypothesis. What about the conclusion? It is not prime is your conclusion. Okay? Let's have more examples. State the hypothesis and conclusion for each statement. Okay, this one. What is the hypothesis? Okay, 2 angles are supplementary is the hypothesis. This one. What about the conclusion? Okay, the sum of their angles is 180 degrees is your conclusion. Let's have another one. If you are 5 feet tall, then you are also 60 inches tall. Okay, that's your hypothesis. What about the conclusion? Okay, that's our conclusion. Okay. Let's have another example. A friend is real if he stays with you in good and bad times. What is the hypothesis? Sige, analyze this statement. Again, I said a while ago, the if part after the word if is your hypothesis. Now, where is the if part there? Okay, correct. Maunay atong hypothesis. That does not mean that the hypothesis will always come first. There are instances therein the hypothesis will be found in the later part. So, he stays with you in good and bad times is the hypothesis. Therefore, what's your conclusion? Okay, this is our conclusion. Okay? Now, let's have another one. If two angles are adjacent, then they have a common vertex. Okay, that's your hypothesis. Good. What about the conclusion? They have a common vertex is the conclusion. Okay? Now, sir, what if the sentence is walay if, walay then? Wala siya nakastate in if-then form. Meaning, ang sentence nato is in declarative form. Unsaon man pag-determine anang hypothesis ana sir o conclusion ana sir. Here is the thing. Mauni mo gawas ato ang nakatunan sa atong English class. Unsay subject o unsay predicate sa inyong sentence. So, unsa may subject sa inyong sentence. Ang subject, mao man ni mag-una sa ato ang sentence. So, unsa may subject nato diri class? Unsa may subject sa atong sentence. Example ha, we have BSHM students are good in communicating with people. Kanang BSHM students mo ni subject. Nya ang verb nako kay are good in communicating with people, mao na to'y predicate. Mao nilhanan ako. Ang nagtunga nako ani is ang verb. So, pangitaw nako ang verb. Ang verb nako kay have. So, natunga na siya into two parts. So, kining gaon na, kanang congruent angles, mao na siya ang subject sa atong sentence. And this is the hypothesis. Okay? Unya katong verb nato nga have, mao na ni siya predicate. So meaning ha, kanang predicate nato mag-una nag-verb or linking verbs like is, are, mga write, mga measures, mga eat. You know what verbs are. Those are action words. So mao ni siya ang atuang conclusion. Sorry. This will be our conclusion, which is the predicate part. Nakasabot class on saan pag-determine kung why, if, o then? Okay, anita sa another example. Kamo daw storya nako. Unsay subject sa sentence? A triangle. So meaning, mao ni ato ang hypothesis. Kay mao man ni ang subject sa sentence. Unsa man atong predicate din ha. Good. Mao na to ang conclusion. There you go. So, simple na di kaayo pag-determine sa hypothesis o conclusion kung walay if o then. Ang subject, maoy hypothesis. Ang predicate, maoy conclusion. Okay? Let's have these examples be. Number 1. Can I have a volunteer? Any volunteer? Sige, go. Let's start. Daghan man ni 7 numbers man ni. Probably, kisa to ni una, it was Elka. Go on, Elka. Go on, Elka. That's totally right. So our hypothesis, 2 lines intersect each other at 90 degrees. The conclusion, they are perpendicular. Okay, go on. That was Elka. Let's have another volunteer. Number 2. Yes, this is Melenshon. Go on, Melenshon. Okay, that's correct. If 2 angles form a linear pair is your hypothesis, they are supplementary is the conclusion. Okay, let's have number 3. Can I have another volunteer for number 3? Rhea? Go on, Rhea. Anyone, anybody from your class, please? Who is this, by the way? That's totally right. That's your hypothesis. Yes? Okay, very good. Hakalan. What about the conclusion? An empty set. Okay? Tanawan ninyo ha. Ang nag-divide niya si is. Kanang gaon namon na hypothesis. After the is, o is padung sa right, padung sa tuldok mo na conclusion. Okay, let's have number 4. What is the hypothesis in number 4? Pwede ra mo balik ang katong manag-answer, walay problema. Go, go, go. Number 4. What is the verb? What is the verb? Contain. So, meaning, natunga na dinha. So, unsay subject? Align. Mo na to ang hypothesis. Nya, sugod sa verb nga contains at least 2 point. Very good. Mo na conclusion nato. Okay, let's have number 5. Any volunteer for number 5? Go, go. Elvin. Very good. The student in high school, mauna atong hypothesis. What about the conclusion, Elvin? Study mathematics is the conclusion. Let's have number 6. Anybody? Go. Go on. A diameter. Okay, so a diameter is the hypothesis. The rest of the sentence, that is a chord that passes through the center of the circle, that's your conclusion. Okay, let's have number 7, last item for this activity. No triangle has 2 right angles. What is the hypothesis? No triangle. And what is your conclusion? Okay, so mo ni buhaton ninyo sa critical thinking part, identify ro jud ninyo ang hypothesis, identify ang conclusion. Okay, na item lang dito niya, you need to analyze it carefully. Anyway, Google Forms na napod ni siya, all you need to do is choose as ang hypothesis, as ang conclusion. Now, sir, what if, sir, I want to rewrite this sentence into if-then form. How do I do that? So, first thing, usagay ito nga itong hypothesis, ani? Okay, mo niya itong hypothesis atong isuwat. Hypothesis ni nato. What is the conclusion? Okay. So, take note, kanang hypothesis, kini siya, dapat na ani makitaan sa if part. Kini pod siyang conclusion, makit-ani nako dapat sa then part. So, unsaan man pag-state inyong sentence karon nga naanay if nya kini siya congruent angles nya then kini siya. Lain man sige mo ingon kag if congruent angles then have equal measures. That sentence is sayo pagka-construct. So, how do you construct your if-then statement ani correctly? Unsa may main subject nato? Tanawang if part. Unsay main subject? One word na siya. Angles. So, meaning, if angles, unsa man nga kain nga angles? So, meaning, if angles, unsay sumpay, are congruent. Gidescribe na kung angles. If angles are congruent, then, sige, then ta. Sir, di man ka pwede maingon, then have equal measures. Unsa may they? Nganong they man ang gigamit nato, Bing? More than one. Okay, so take note ha, kanang mga pronouns. It is singular, they for plural. Okay, they have equal measures. O, mo na ito ang if-then form ana nga sentence. Let's have another example. An acute angle measures less than 90. Take note, this is your hypothesis. This is your conclusion. Okay, any volunteer? Any volunteer? What is the if-then statement for this? Unsa may main subject diri sa ato ang hypothesis? Yes? If an angle. If an angle. Okay, correct. If an then it ayun na lang is. Kanang is it measures, correct. It measures less than 90 degrees. O mo na tong if-then form ana nga sentence. Okay? Now, let's have more examples. Kini. An angle whose measure is 90 degrees is a right angle. By the way, class, katong mga if-then nato, pwede ra jud to state in other ways. Basta sakto, naadira ang idea, that's totally right. Okay? This is our hypothesis. This is our conclusion. Okay, what is the if part? Sige, go. If an angle. Go. O, kung nanagay... Okay, here's the thing. Kung nanagay ng word og whose og that, dapat wag tango na nato ang whose og that. So, if an angle... Okay, correct. If an angle measures 90 degrees, so ato lang i-rephrase. Then, go. Then, okay, simple as that. It is a right angle. That's totally correct. So, pwede ra, sir, if an angle is 90 degrees, pwede ra kaayo na siya. Basta naadira ang angle og nang 90 degrees, that's totally correct. Okay? Now, let's go to our next example. Supplementary angles have measures whose sum is 180 degrees. So, supplementary angles, have measures whose sum is 180 degrees. Sige, go. If so may isuwat na to, if Momenting hypothesis. Oo, dara ato ang kuan, mao ni dapat makit-an sa if part. If angles, dapat plural kay angles man ta. If angles are supplementary. Okay. Sagdi lang, kung naatay mga activities ani, anyway, ang atong Google Forms na naman dito tanan, all you need to do is choose. Okay? Then, go. Then, pwede ra ninyo i-rephrase. Pwede ra jud ninyo i-rephrase basta naa ni siya. Pwede ra i-rephrase, ha? Pwede ra i-rephrase. Then, kini ay gamitan ning sum. Then, the sum of their measures, okay, is 180 degrees. Pwede rin na siya state in another way, basta the idea is there, that's totally correct. Okay? So, i-analyze lang nato ang sentence. Now, let's proceed to another example. Sikini, sir, what if, sir, walay adjective? Kay kabantay mo awatong example. Kini siya na ay adjective. Unsay adjective nato diri? Supplementary. Atong previous example, tanawa, kini siya, acute ang adjective nag-describe sa angle. Ang atong next example, ang last example nato, tanawa ninyo, 9 adjective ang triangle? Wala. Triangle na siya. So meaning, unsa may buhaton na ako ani? Introduce a big concept, a big word nga nagpertain sa triangle. Unsa man ang triangle? Is it like if what? Unsa man ang triangle? Unsay big word anang triangle? It's a polygon. Pwede. Okay. If a polygon is a triangle. So, meaning, nag-introduce ko big word aning triangle. Sir, pwede shape? Pwede. Sir, pwede figure? Pwede. Basta big word nga nag-pertain sa triangle. Nakakuha mo idea? Do you get what I mean here? Then, sige, then, okay, very good. It has 3 sides. Correct. Okay? Now, let's have another one. Okay, mo na to siya. So, anyway, wala may activity ani sa inyohang mga task. Ako lang ng gihatag para na may idea how to rewrite. Now, let's focus on knowledge building now. Okay? So, ang knowledge building nato will be converse, inverse, and contrapositive of a conditional. Now, let's have this one first. Conditional statements can be true or false. To show a conditional statement is true, you must present an argument to show true in all cases. Pero kung i-show nimo ang true sa all cases, madugay makaanag samot. That's why there is another way of show it as false. isa ra ka example nga ma-false na siya, false na inyong statement, and that's what you call a counter example. Let me give you this example. Write a counter example. If a number is odd, then it is divisible by 3. Let me ask you this question. What are odd numbers? Sige, you tell me odd numbers. Sige, go. 7, 9, 11, 13, so on and so forth. Now, these are odd numbers. The question is, if a number is odd, then it is divisible by 3. The question is this true or false? What's your answer? Is this true or false? Who will say true? Sige. Take note, tanawan ninyong odd numbers ha. 1, 3. Why false? Why false? Very good. Oh, give me one number there. Okay. 5 is sorry. 5 is odd, but not divisible by 3. Mo ni gitawag natog counter example. Isa lang ka example ana, pwede 1, pwede 5, pwede 7, pwede 11. Any of those numbers inyo lang ihatag false because 11 is odd but not divisible by 3. Sakto na inyong answer ana. Mo ni gitawag natog counter example. Okay? Now let's continue. Let's begin with the converse. A converse of a conditional statement is formed by interchanging atong balihon ang hypothesis ug ang conclusion. So meaning, so if this will be the conditional, unsa gay hypothesis nato diri class? The conditional statement is if x minus y is positive. Okay, so atong hypothesis kay kini. Mo ni hypothesis. What is the conclusion? X is greater than y. Simple ra kay na. Ato ra nang i-interchange ang duha. Ang conclusion mahimo ng hypothesis, ang hypothesis mahimo ng conclusion. So therefore, ang tubag dayani is kini. Tanawan ninyo. Ang conclusion nabalhin sa if. Ang hypothesis nabalhin sa then. Mao nay gitawag natog converse. Let's have examples. Who can give me the converse of this? If two angles are adjacent, then they have a common vertex. Go on. Okay, now here's the thing sa sentences anang English. Kung maghimo gitag mga if-then mga sentences, dili man ta mag-start og pronoun. Mag-start man ta sa noun ana niya. So ang technique nato ani is this. Kining if two angles ug ang then they magpabili na. Kini siyang duha kanang verb nato maunay atong i-interchange. Sige, go on. You give me the answer now. Magpabilin ang two angles, magpabilin ang then they. Ang i-exchange are adjacent ug have a common vertex. So what's your answer now? Yeah, correct. If two angles, kabantay mo, nagpabilin si if two angles ug then they. Ang are adjacent, nabalhin na diri sa then. ang have a common vertex na balhin na sa if. Mo na shortcut para masayon paghimog converse. Okay? Let's have another example. Kini siya, mo na dyan ninyong buhaton, i-interchange ninyo totally. Kay wala may mga verbs na if ug it dira, I mean mga pronoun nga it ug they. So kini siya, inyong i-interchange tanan. So masayon ni, who can give me the answer for this? Go. Sige, go. Okay. Kau kini siya di ay kining there. Unsa maning pasabot aning there? Asa maning nga there? Sa two angles, di ba? So meaning, okay, let us take a look at that. Oh, tanawan ninyo. If the sum of two angles kay kining there nagpasabot man ni sa two, duha man na. So the sum of two angles is 180. Then, they are. Kay kining two angles, pronoun, pahimong they. They nato, kay plural man na. So, we will be using they are supplementary. Okay? Pero katong answer ni mo ganiha, wa to'y problema, I will still accept that. The idea is there, that's totally correct. Ang ako lang diri is ang sentence construction, nga sakto siya pagka-construct sa sentence. Okay? So, ayaw mo ka problema kung sayop inyong mga gipang suwat, basta ang idea na adin ha, that's totally correct. Now, let's have example number 3. If an angle measures less than 90, then it is an acute angle. Sige, kini kay magpabilin ang if an angle, magpabilin ang then it. Who would like to answer this? I-interchange lang ng measures less than 90. Go. If. Go. Sakto. Okay. If an angle is acute or is an acute angle, pwede ra na, then it measures less than 90. So, kabantay mo, kining measures na balhin dire. Ang kining is an acute angle, nabalhin dito if. Mao na gitawag nato converse. Okay? Now, let's have the inverse. Pero before having inverse, ani sa tag negation? When I say negation, it is simply putting the word not. When I negate something, I put the word not. So, what if, sir, nanay not ang atuang sentence, o tanggalo nimo ang not? Kaya di makamuingon nga, she is not intelligent. Di makamuingon niya, she is not intelligent. Right? There's no sentence nga double negation. So, ang buhaton ninyo, tanggalo ninyo ang not to make it negate. Okay? So, let's have this one. Angle RST is an obtuse angle. Unsaon man ninyo pagbutang sa not din ha? Who can give me the negation of this sentence? Mo-follow na siya sa verb. Mo-follow siya sa good. So, meaning, unsay answer ninyo dire? Go. Correct. Angle RST is not an obtuse angle. Let's have this one. Intersecting lines are coplanar. After sa R. So, what will be your sentence now? Okay. Intersecting lines are not coplanar. What about this sentence? Acute angles measure less than 90 degrees. How do you negate that? Ganiha, linking verbs is ug are. This time, this is now a verb, as in the usual verb that we do. Measure. Is this singular or plural? Again, dili ko magbutang og is ug are din ha. Mo-focus ta sa measure. My question is this singular or plural? Okay, kung singular na siya, butangan nag does not before the verb. Do you get the idea? Kung singular, butangan og does not before the verb. So what's your sentence now? Good. O mo niya to ang negation, ana. Acute angles does no, this is plural, by the way. This is not singular. Acute angles is plural. Nasayop na si Sir. Oh. This is plural. So akong ibutang ani kay do not. So again ha, kung plural man na siya. So meaning I'm gonna be using do not. Then do not measure less than 90 degrees. Kakuha wala. Okay, let's continue. Anhitag singular. A right angle measure. So take note, this is a singular verb. Singular. So unsay ako ibutang ani? Does not. So meaning, ang sentence nako is okay. So kanang measures tanggalan ng S. A right angle, tanggal niya, tanggal wala na. A right angle does not measure 90 degrees. Okay? Always na siya, maunay subject-verb agreement, maunay rule na to sa grammar. Kung butangan na to does not ang singular verb, tanggalon ang S ana niya. Okay? Now, let's continue with inverse. So, the inverse is so simple. Butangan dag not ang hypothesis, butangan ug not ang conclusion. Atong inegate both hypothesis and conclusion. There you go. Example. Okay, who can give me the inverse of this statement? Butangan ug not ang hypothesis, but go. Correct. If an angle is not 75 degrees, then it is not acute. Simple as that. Okay? Now, let's have more examples. Can I have a volunteer for number 1? If two angles are supplementary, then the sum of their angles is 180 degrees. Go on. Okay. So, ang R, butangan og not. Ang is, butangan og not. O, mo na ni-answer na to. If two angles are not supplementary, then the sum of their angles is not 180 degrees. Next example, number 2. If two angles are adjacent, then they have a common vertex. What is the inverse? Kung sa may buhaton na ako ni R, mahimo ning kung sa mahitabuan ning if two angles are adjacent, atong inegate, kini atong inegate. Okay, are not. Okay, let me write that down. Sunod, unsa man ni pag-negate si have? Verb naman na. Okay, asa ibutang ang don't? Before. So, atong answer di ani is this. If two angles are not adjacent, then they do not have a common vertex. Okay? Now, example number 3 ta. Kini. If an angle measures less than 90 degrees, then it is an acute angle. Ang verb nato measures ug is. Unsay mahitabo ni measures? Singular na. Very good. Atong butangan apilang measure does not measure. Go. Then, oh, very good. That's totally correct. If an angle does not measure less than 90 degrees, then it is not an acute angle. So, mo ni gitawag natog inverse. Kasabot ra? Okay. We are now on the last part, the contrapositive. So, when you say contrapositive, it's a combination of the converse and inverse. You will negate, then you interchange. So, i-negate, then i-interchange. Let's have this one. I-negate ni nato. I-negate ni nato. Kini-negate ni nako. How do you negate this? Is not. Kini siya, not. Ya, ihuman, i-interchange dayo na silang duha. So, what will be the contrapositive? If the angle, good, sakto, then, correct. If an angle is not acute, kabantay mo na nasa diri, then it is not 75 degrees. There you go. Let's have another example. Number 1. Who can give me the contrapositive? Sa butangan sa nato, unsay mahitabuan ning R? Not. Ang mahitabo ni have. Or do not. Okay. Sige, go. I-interchange na. I-interchange na sila. Who can give me the contrapositive? You start with if two angles. Then, okay. So, tanawa ha, magpabili ni siya if two angles o then they. Look at my answer. Nagpabilin si two angles o then they. Ang gi-interchange, ang are not, nabalhin na siya dire, sa ubos, sa then. Ang do not have, nabalhin na sa if part. Okay? Kasabot sa contrapositive example number 1. Okay, let's have example number 2. Okay, atong butangan og not. Asa man ang not dire? Are? Okay. Sunod, asa ibutang ang not dire? Okay, who can give me interchange them? Everything. Butangan lang katong nanaman ta ni ganiha. I-interchange ni og kini. That's your contrapositive. Is not. Sorry, is not. Is not. Is not. Sorry. Okay. If the sum of two angles is not 180 degrees or their angles, that's fine. Then the two angles are not supplementary. Okay? Let's have example number 3. Unsaon man pagbutang ani sa not, sa measures? Do not or does not? Okay, does not. Yeah, tanggalon ang S. Sunod, ang kining it is an acute angle. After sa is. So, i-interchange na yun. Okay, kining does not measure. Interchange sa is not an acute angle. Give me the contrapositive now. Okay, that's totally right. If an angle is not an acute angle, then it does not measure less than 90 degrees. So, mo ni gitawag nato contrapositive. Okay. Kini. Who can give me the inverse? Unsa to inverse? Unsa to inverse? Butangan og not. So, timanan ha. Musulti gani kog inverse kay pwede magani na to bali-balihon. Musulti gani kog inverse butangan og not. So unsaon man pagbutang og not aning symbol nga equal? Unsaon pagbutang anang not sa symbol nga equal? Oh sir, ing ani sir. Kana. Mao nay symbol sa not equal. So mao ni gamito na ko nga symbol dire. So meaning kini siya mahimo na ng is not equal. Kini sang is or is not. Mao nay inverse. Unsay converse? Interchange. So balik, converse, interchange. So meaning, kini o kini i-interchange. O tanawan ninyong answer nato. O ang acute angle na nadire, ang measure sa angle A na nadari sa den. Sa contrapositive, butangan og not, then interchange. Mao ni gitawag og contrapositive. So, butangan og not, interchange. Look at the answer. So, is not acute na nadire, is not equal na nadine. Now, let's have more examples. Let's skip this first. Ani sa ta sa biconditional. Ang biconditional is so simple. You will only use if and only if. Yan ay biconditional if both conditional and converse are true. So, here we go. An angle is called a right angle if and only if it measures 90 degrees. Mo ni gitawag natog biconditional. Kay naay if and only if. Okay. Sir, what if, sir? Kini, sir. If an angle measures less than 90, then it is acute. Unsa may biconditional ani niya? It's so simple. Tanggala ang if. So mag-start ko sa an angle. Suwat ra na tanan. An angle measures less than 90. Kining then, ilisan ko nag if and only if. In symbols, mao ni siya. IFF. Mao ni symbol sa if and only if. So, IFF, it is acute. O, mao ni gitawag natog biconditional. Nakasabot ra? Gitanggal si if, gisuwat, gitanggal si then, giilisan og if and only if or IFF, gisumpay rapud ang sentence, it is acute. Ingana na kasimple ang paghihimog biconditional. Okay, let's have this one. Last na ni siya, then adto na ta sa ato ang task 1 and 2. Okay, here we go. Start ta sa, usa may ganahan ninyo unahon, converse, inverse, contrapositive. What do you, converse ta or inverse? Sige, inverse. Go, way problema na ako. O, unsa may inverse ani, you tell me, I'm gonna write it down. So, if a triangle, good, if a triangle, go on, is not isosceles. Okay. If a triangle is not isosceles, then unsa may buhaton na ng has? It Butangan og does not or do not. Unsa man ni plural singular? Does not. Nya human unsa may plural form anang has? Okay, does not have. So mo ni atong timan-an basta has og have. Does not have two congruent sides. Okay, let's have the converse. Unsa giti converse, class? Interchange. Sige, interchange daw ba? If a triangle. Sumpay. Unsa may sumpay? Very good. Co-congruent sides. What is the then part? Then it is isosceles, correct? Isosceles. Let's have the contrapositive. Butangan ug not. Butangan ug not. Then interchange. Go. O tanawan ninyo inyong inverse. Tanawang inverse. Correct. If a triangle does not have two congruent sides, then it is not isosceles. Okay, biconditional ta. Apilo na to para ma-practice tas biconditional. Unsay buhaton aning if? Tangtang. So, unsa isuwat na ko, go. A triangle is isosceles. Okay. Unsay buhaton ni then? Ilisan og good. If and only if. Nya unsay isumpay? Ay, sorry. It has two congruent sides. There you go. Sorry. That ends our discussion for this morning. Now, kining ako ang next presentation, mao ni ato ang i-discuss next meeting on Thursday. So, balik sa ta, I'm gonna discard that because we will go to your here. Tanawan ninyo ang knowledge building. Ang knowledge building is inyo radyong isuwat ang inverse, contrapositive, o converse sa number 1. Nya, number 2 na pod, kini, butangan og inverse, contrapositive, converse. Same thing sa number 3. Unya, naani Google Forms. Magpili-pili rajud mo ani sa Google Forms. Walay problema ni Sir Tigle kung dili isuwat sa paper inyong answer. Moderitso ra mo sa Google Forms, basat kabalo mo asay correct answer, ana. That's totally fine. Okay? Next. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is, identify the hypothesis and conclusion. So, kini siya asang hypothesis. Kini siya asang conclusion. Same thing sa number 2, sa number 3, sa number 4, sa number 5. Kining number 1 o number 4, analyze that carefully. Kay na ako'y gipang balihin-balihin ng a word. Okay? So, take note, kining number 1 ug number 4, just analyze that carefully. Kay na ako'y mga gipang balhin-balhin dira nga dapat mo require siya analysis ana. Naagihapon ni Google Forms. So ang buhaton na ninyo sa Google Forms, magpili-pili ra jud mo answers ana nila.